everybody? Welcome back to Clubhouse Talk. It is Christmas morning for baseball nerds like myself. It is trade deadline day for a guy who is a fan of a team who is finally a contender. This day is great now. We're actually buyers, not sellers, and I'm just so excited. There's so much to get into. It is trade deadline day, Tuesday, July 30th, 6 p.m. Eastern time is the deadline. So get ready for fireworks. Here we're now at 11 a.m. So we're 7 hours away. We've already had a lot of trades that got kicked off this past Thursday. And today is the day where all those rumors, we see if that's all they were, or like I said, if the fireworks start popping off. I'm so excited, and I didn't want to do this by myself. And I'm bringing in a fellow alum from Full Sail, and again, a fellow baseball nerd, and someone whose team isn't a buyer. They will be a seller, and they could be friends with my team today, and we'll see. Mr. Eli Shelton. Eli, thank you for coming on, man. I appreciate it.
Sean, thank you for having me. I'm excited to talk some baseball. It's a great day. The trade deadline is always exciting. There is nothing in sports that beats baseball's trade deadline day. None of the other trade deadlines in NBA, NHL, or the NFL come even close to comparing to
People
the
will argue with
chaos.
you, but they are wrong.
They can try, but I can absolutely tell them how wrong they are. Because
I will join you with that for sure.
today we could see baseball's best pitcher traded. When are you going to see a top tier quarterback in the NFL traded midseason?
It won't happen because
Exactly.
they're not as exciting as baseball, and we're proving that right now.
Boom.
And we'll just get into that, and I'm going to pop this little guy up right there so everyone knows where my allegiance stands. But my beloved Orioles here, yeah, they're buyers, and of course I'm going to start with them because why not? They've already made two trades so far. They started off with two areas of need: starting pitching, relief pitching. They had to address those two. I know they're not alone, but they were savaged by the injury bug this year. I know the Mariners and the Astros are with them as well, but those are just hurting bad. They make two great trades. They make one great trade. One I'm still a little iffy about. Zach Eflin from Tampa Bay. I thought that was a great trade. They give up three prospects that I've heard a lot. For many teams, they'd be top tier prospects before how deep the Orioles are when it comes to prospect talent. They were the middle tier, which is great because that means they have so much more saved up. Zach Eflin, a great arm to bring on, and then Sir Anthony Dominguez and Christian Pache from Philadelphia come over as well. So you get your starter and your relief pitcher. Do you think the O's are done? Do you think they're going to add more?
Really depends on what they felt Elfin is. If they feel like Zach can fill a role that says, hey, he's a significant innings eater that we need on the front half of our rotation, they're probably done today. They probably will make some other slight moves here and there, but unless they are going for the big gun, which has been reported in the last week or two with John Morassi being all over this potential deal, it's very tough to see. However, if they don't feel Zach Eflin is that innings eater that they need, watch out, because they've been in a long conversation with Scott Harris and the Detroit Tigers regarding the ace Tarek Skubal, most likely this year's AL Cy Young winner, barring a complete second half collapse. But the Tigers have already stated they want a king's ransom in return. And very likely that conversation does not start unless the name Jackson Holliday is on the list. And I know that's tough for you, being an Orioles fan. But Tarek Skubal right now is putting up the numbers as a starting pitcher that you're not going to see all that often. The complete dominance he's had this season, the fact he's under two more seasons of team control, that's going to require a price tag like a Jackson Holliday, a Kobe Mayo, and just all those kinds of caliber players that are just littered around the Orioles farm system. So that's where you're really going to want to have your eye on today, is the Tarek Skubal situation.
Yeah, I agree and disagree in a little bit. When it comes to the Orioles, I think They have two guys. They had two guys before the Eflin trade. You have Corbin Burns and Grayson Rodriguez. Those two guys are your main two guys. Dean Kramer has fallen off a little, and then after that is just wow. I don't know, misfit toys. Albert Suarez, Cade Povich, just guys that for a contender team shouldn't have to be relied on, and that's where they're at with all these injuries. So Zach Eflin is a great three right there. He goes behind Burns and Rodriguez as someone you could put in a playoff series, but you need another guy now. I would love Tarek Skubal. That would be fantastic. I know, and I'll get into a second how much we would have to give up to get him, but I do believe that they're not done. They need at least one more starting pitcher and they need at least one more relief pitcher. I said coming in, they need 2 and 2, and they're halfway there. So they get two more. They do not have to be top of the charts guys. And knowing Elias and how he's operated in the past, it probably won't be. But it's a great moment for Orioles fans such as myself to kind of revel in the fact that we could do this. Because if you look at all these other teams, like you just said, no other team really can do what the Orioles can. They can't offer the Tigers what we can. They don't have Jackson Holiday or Heston Kjerstad or Kobe May they can't offer those. And it's great when it comes to the Orioles bats how deep they are to be able to afford that. And if they want to offer all that in a big package to get a guy like Skubal, who you have control over through 2026. I mean, I know we're 50-50 as Orioles fans. I'm for it. I'm like, you have all this built up, but I don't see it happening. I love talking about it. I would like it to happen, but as a realist, I don't see it happen. I see Skubal staying, but I do see Flaherty moving on, and I've heard the Orioles name tossed in there, but there's going to be other teams in the AL East that are going to go after him as well, like the Yankees and Red Sox. So I definitely see Skubal staying in my mind, but goodbye Flaherty. He's going to be gone, and we'll see who else for that team goes as well.
Yeah, Bob Nightingale apparently saying that the Yankees and Tigers are in extensive talks, but they said likely this could be a pitcher for pitcher with Flaherty going to the Yankees and Nestor Cortez coming back to the Tigers. It's not official yet. I'm not going to report anything unless we start seeing it from someone, say Jeff Bassan. If he says it, more than likely, then it's happening. Now, I want to ask you a question about Tarek Skubal. Now, say Skubal's off that board. Do you go get Tarek Skubal Jr. in Chicago if Garrett Crochet? Because I've seen that floated around saying you might be able to get him at a cheaper price.
So if what Crochet's, I guess his agent said is true, I wouldn't touch him with a 10-foot pole. And what he said was his client is not pitching in October without a contract extension the day of the trade. So I've heard from other outlets that there was a team very, very interested, and they dropped out as soon as that was said. And there's other teams still in the mix. Of course, I'm sure the Dodgers are one of them. But that's scary. You don't want to go after a guy who's great pitcher, a great starting pitcher. You would have control over, but he wants a contract extension right then and there. He's not starting in October. You don't want to go after. You don't want to give up so much for a guy, and him already have demands and be that way. So that one scares me. With those two, Skubal and Crochet, I'd stay away from both of them just because of how much you have to. I'll take it back. I stay away from Crochet. And something in me just wants to go get Skubal. I know we'd have to give up a lot to get him, but
yeah,
if not, bringing Jack Flaherty back scares me because we had him last year and he was just awful as an Oriole, and he's redeemed himself this year. Good for him, but that scares me. So, kind of looking at some of the others on the board that are still there, I'd be willing to go after a little bit of a lesser tier than go after Crochet, who's demanding the world, and Skubal, who you would have to give up the world to get.
Maybe there's a player in mind. One more lefty, former Cy Young, 2-time Cy Young.
Yeah,
Blake Snell. Blake Snell.
Orioles are rumored to be involved in him too.
Since coming off the injury, though, he's been pretty good. I mean, he's flipped that season around. Of course, it had a horrendous start. It was embarrassing, but he went out on the IL, came back, and is starting to look like Blake Snell again. So that very well could be another option for Baltimore.
Yeah, and again, I heard that floated around too, and it's kind of this is giving me flashbacks from last year because if you look at last year, again, as an Orioles fan, we made just two trades last year, and they both did not work out. We got
Mhm.
Fujinami from Oakland, then Flaherty from the Cardinals last year. They both did not work out. But man, the rumor mill was so heated up last year. Justin Verlander was thrown out there, Montgomery, there's so much, and we didn't get any of them. But it was so fun to be involved in those talks, and this is kind of getting me in that same headspace of last year. It was like, yeah, Snell, Scooble. I'm like, what are the chances that the Orioles are gonna? Elias has he's gotten as far as he has just because of how smart he is. Is he gonna kind of just blow up everything he's worked for to get these couple guys? I don't see it happening. I just don't. There's so much that goes into that. I don't see it happening. There's a couple names that are gone already that I wish weren't. Fetty was traded yesterday to the Cardinals. I was big on Fetty. He is gone. And then Kikuchi went off the board last night to Houston, and Kikuchi was a big. We've already made a in division trade with Tampa for Eflin, and I said, "Can we make two? Could we make two with Kikuchi?" And no, Houston is making me mad. They went off and they got a guy that I really wanted. Um, but with everything we've seen so far, what team do you think is winning so far? I know today is the deadline. We still have 7 hours to go, but so far, what team do you think is winning?
That's a tough question. I do like Jazz Chisholm going to the Yankees.
Yes.
I did like that. You add well, not thinking in the baseball headspace, more so the if you're a marketer headspace, you're thrilled because Jazz Chisholm, Juan Soto, Aaron Judge. That's a lot of money for people to come and watch exciting players. Jazz Chisholm now gets a chance in a much more hitter-friendly ballpark to, yeah, shine again and be on a team that is fighting for a playoff spot. I know they've been reeling once again, but I think the Jazz Chisholm deal can help really elevate them. And if that Jack Flaherty deal goes through, well, I might have to say the Yankees are the winners.
Yeah, I get it. And I don't think any team, I'd say the top three, if you look at all of them, none of them are done because you have three buyers and two sellers in that division. And the two sellers, like I said, Kikuchi from the Blue Jays and the Rays got started early. It was one of those things where you're waiting for the hat to drop. One team had to make that trade to get it kicked off, and it was really the Rays and the Mariners on this past Thursday night, the 25th, with Randy Arozarena going over to Seattle. So that was a trade that kind of got it started. Toronto's in there, but Boston, New York, Baltimore, they are buying, and they're fighting against each other, which is so funny. They're trying to win games, but they're also trying to get the same guys to beat each other with later in the year. And yeah, Boston got started early. They bring in James Paxton. It wasn't a crazy trade. It was one that, um, you know, awesome. You bring in a veteran arm. You needed an arm. It is what it is. But it wasn't one of those trades that uh, set the world on fire. But it was kind of one of those sneaky trades that, yeah, okay, you bring in a veteran arm, and um, that is just kind of the basis for what you're trying to go after. But the Yankees, on the other hand, they're like, we need this position. They get Jazz Chisholm. I was shocked when they pulled that trade off because I'm like, that was actually a really good move, and I hate to say it, that was a really
Mm-hmm.
good move. And again, they're not going to be done. The Orioles aren't going to be done, in my opinion. And just looking back at some of these other trades, like there was another sneaky trade that Boston getting Danny Jansen from Toronto. So
Yeah,
there was another
that's
trade there in the division. I'm just like, okay, you guys are being really sneaky about it, and that was another one that kind of like, oh, I didn't want you guys to pull that trade off. It
really
was,
interesting. You're seeing a lot of in division trades in the AL East
yeah,
too. It's not like these teams have ever liked each other. I mean,
no,
if there was ever a division that is so cutthroat to each other, the
yeah,
AL East is up. Like,
yeah, and I know again I'm biased because I'm an O's fan, but how shocked were you to see two contenders trade when the Orioles traded with the Phillies? That was,
yeah,
yeah,
but
that one got me.
it was confusing. I do know that Baltimore did need that depth in the relief end, but it really did surprise me. I would expect them to go more for someone like a Tanner Scott, who is
He's
still
still
there
in the
with
mix, though. He's still in
Marlin.
the mix.
Yeah, and they absolutely should be going to get him. He's a phenomenal closer, and I think he would help bolster that Orioles rotation. And we're seeing more and more. You want to make these deep playoff runs, that bullpen better be in tip-top shape.
Yeah, and the Orioles aren't there yet. Hopefully they can. But yeah,
Mhm.
like I said, that trade kind of shocked me. You got two contenders, and they gave up Austin Hayes. The outfield is crowded. They had a lot of depth there. I get it. Mullins was and he's still out there. Austin Hayes is gone. I don't see them trading away Cedric Mullins now. But yeah, that surprised me. Hayes, I thought you can get more for Hayes. Dominguez has been good so far. He's had a couple innings and he's looked really sharp. Pache got a hit yesterday in his first at bat as an Oriole, so good. But could have got more for Hayes, and it's weird that you traded with the Phillies. That just threw me off a little bit. Where we kind of stand right now, and kind of like you were just saying about bullpen depth and teams that need to kind of fix a couple areas if they really want to contend in October. Who do you think needs to do the most at trade deadline?
So I was looking at this a little bit. I was trying to take a look at the standings. I right now a team that really needs to do a lot. They had the division lead most of the year, and they made the Arozarena trade. It's got to be the Mariners. They have got to do something more to help bolster that lineup to get themselves over the hump. Like their pitching's always been really good. I mean, you're in a pitcher's park like Seattle, you're gonna get good pitching, but it's really good. The bullpen's been great. That hitting has got to catch up. And Houston, you remember they started horrendously. Right now, it's a tie for first place. So, and the Houston Astros, they're already working the phones, getting better. What are you doing aside from the Rosarena deal to get better? Are you going to find more hitters? Like you could go in division, Brett Rooker. I think that would be a great deal for them, but they've got to get more hitting.
No, I agree with you. And, just kind of looking back at some of the trades the Mariners have made, because they've been active so far. They got Rylan Thomas from the Mets, but like you said, they gave up some of that depth. They gave up Stanek. So Stanek goes over to the Mets in that trade. And yeah, I agree. They need to do more. And yeah, to get Justin Turner, is that the way to go? No, not in my opinion. I
Yeah,
mean,
no,
nothing
it's
against Turner. He's been so good, but just looking at some of the trades they made, yes, they need hitting and they're adding bats, but are they adding the right bats? They get Salcedo from the Reds. They gave up Ty France for him. Yeah, I'm with you. Like they're making a lot of moves. Are they making the moves that are going to put them over the top of an Orioles, of an Astros, of those teams that the trades that are happening right now? You're like, hey, that was a good trade. That makes sense. And the ones that for Seattle are like, okay, cool. You made a trade, but like, and if you look at the Dodgers, they made a trade yesterday that frustrated me because it took off Kopech, who I really love, in the bullpen. He's gone. Great move for you. They bring back Rosario again. Great move for you. But yeah, I can see the Mariners are a team that definitely need to do more. They're just they're not there yet. I was starting with that the Dodgers needed to do more, but they're doing great so far with what they've done.
Mhm.
But it's the Mariners that they've made moves, but they're just not quite there. And from people I've talked, other people I've talked to as well, their Mariners are top of everybody's list of they're there. They just need to do a lot more.
Mhm. I think another team, I don't see it happening because I've seen how patient they've been with building their team. And it very much replicates Baltimore in a sense, just more pitching because their big player is a pitcher. It's the Pittsburgh Pirates.
Yeah,
Since Paul Skeens got there, that's a different ball club. He's a superstar. I'm not going to call him a star. That disrespect his name. But now they're in second place. They've had this meteoric rise since the addition of Paul Skeens. And I think now if they were to add a big time power bat, dare I say, what's what's Toronto doing with one of those two, Bichette or Vlad Jr.? I mean, it's a long shot. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to stand here and act like, oh, Pittsburgh could make all these crazy moves. They're not known for that. But they also weren't known for taking the best player in the draft. They were more about saving their money, but they drafted Paul Skeens. And we all thought it would take a lot longer for Skeens to come up because of the Pirates' methods, but they brought him up fairly quickly, and it's working out. So I could see maybe a tone shift in the Pirates to say maybe, who do we go grab right now and help this team win? Because we are 7 games back in August is not 7 games back in the late half of September.
Yeah.
7 games can be flipped on a dime. We saw the wild card in 2011 flip entirely when it was 11 games on each side in 1 month. So don't to these teams that are, just on the outside looking in, this is an opportunity to get yourself in. And that's what they have to use today for.
No, I agree. But like you said with Pittsburgh, same thing with the Orioles. They're not known for that, and usually when they're not known for it, they don't do it. Like this is the
Yeah.
one sport I've seen where your aggressors are always aggressive, and the ones that are timid are always timid, and it always plays out that way. Like last year, the Angels had a super, super slight chance at the deadline to make a run. They made so many trades and nothing came of it. But that's how they are. And if they were a little bit in it this year, it'd be the same thing. But it's really funny to see teams like the Pirates and the Orioles who are good, and they're just like, gonna be careful here. We're not gonna do too much here. But if kind of going back to what you said about Toronto, I'm always, and again, I'm not in this, I'm not a GM, but I always see it as if you're already selling as much as you're selling, why it's obvious you don't have to call it a rebuild, but you're in
Mhm.
that zone. Why not get everything you possibly can to really start a rebuild and get your team back to where you wanted to by selling the pieces that are going to get you the biggest return? I would say sayonara to Vladdy, awesome player. And I say sayonara because he's going to get you the biggest return. Bichette will be
Mhm.
second to him, but why not? Why not get same thing with Scooble? Like I understand the Tigers not wanting to trade Scooble. That's a different level. But what I'm saying is, if you want to rebuild, your return is going to be amazing for that. And I think you'd get a really good return for Vladdy. And if I were the Blue Jays, I say bye to both of them. You're already giving up. Like once Kikuchi went, okay, get rid of just start trading. Just same thing with the Rays. All right, Rosarena went. Okay, here goes everyone else, and Eflin wasn't far behind him. So yeah, I think they should trade them. Those two, Bichette and Vladdy. Will they? That's remained to be seen. But I wouldn't be surprised if we saw some more interdivision trades. Not just from the AL East, but from all over because it's been a really weird trade deadline in a really good way. But again, it got
Mhm.
started with two contenders trading with each other, and now just kind of all these interdivision trades that kind of make sense but kind of don't. So yeah, and another guy I want to say went off the board that frustrated me. Michael Lorenzen, he went to the Royals from Texas yesterday, and that wasn't surprising. Everyone said that Texas was giving up, but they have so many players coming back from injury that they kind of needed a spot. So it wasn't shocking to see Lorenzen go to the Royals. But I don't see Texas making any more big moves here. I kind of see them staying where they're at. What do you think about Texas?
Texas, I got to agree with you. I think they stand put. Look, a lot of their issues haven't been due to who they are. It's always been due to injury. You lost Jake DeGrom. That's You're going to lose Jake DeGrom half a season when you have him, but Scherzer as well. All these injuries. I mean, Wyatt Langford went down for a little bit before he came back and turned into the rookie of the year that he's going to be. It's I think their moves need to be let's sell off who's leaving, no matter what. Like we know the guys that are not going to be here next year. Let's go get something back for them right now so that in 2025 we can come back and take the AL West with a vengeance. That has to be their mindset.
No, I'm with you 100%. And I'm just so excited. I keep looking to make sure nothing hasn't happened yet.
Damn.
It's gonna pop off here soon. Like a lot of trade deadlines. You see it in the NFL too, where nothing happens. It's really quiet, and then boom, 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 boom. They just
Hmm.
start popping off. So again, a lot of good trades. A lot of good trades so far. Paredes going to the Cubs. That was a good one because the Yankees and a few others
Yes.
were in on him, but he went to the Cubs, which was funny to me. I was like, good, Yankees don't get him now. Great.
Good for the Cubs to say, we want Paredes back because they had traded him to Detroit in the past.
Mhm.
That was how the Tigers ended up acquiring him. And then when they traded Paredes for Meadows, we won't talk about the results of that trade, but then Paredes blows up and now he's back home.
Now he's back home. It's
I
funny
do
to
want to
me.
ask about another team. We've been talking a lot about the buyers. We got to talk about the seller in the room. And I'm talking about the seller. This is a team that has no excuse not to trade everybody. You've lost 15 in a row. You are well on pace for shattering the record for the worst record in the league. Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
talking about the
that was kind of
lowly
going to be my
Chicago
end
White
note.
Sox.
Yeah, that was going to be my end note. So that was kind of perfect. I was going to ask
Yeah.
who's going to be the biggest seller today? Kind of like because we know it's got to be the White Sox,
Yes,
and
it has to be.
it's got to be. If it's not, then it's ridiculous because who you have there isn't who you need because you've won. You're not even at 30 wins yet, and it's ridiculous what's going on in Chicago. You're getting sell the team chance like you have in Oakland. It is miserable there. You have a starter who a lot of teams don't want to touch now because of what the agent said. So it's not a good look in Chicago right now. It's pretty bad. And
No, it's horrible.
you will get a great return though. You have guys on this team. Luis Robert needs to go, and you get a haul
Yes.
for him. Chris Shea, he needs to go. You get a great return for him, but these players are making it hard. It stinks for the White
It
Sox.
that's been the and that was what plagued the White Sox in the first place. It had nothing to do with who was on the team. It had to do with who was leading the team. And
Yeah,
it was they didn't have the leadership to help guide all the great young talent that they had ended up getting. I mean, go back to 2018 and 2019. The Chicago White Sox looked like they were on the trajectory that Baltimore took.
yeah,
They had all these top prospects, Yohan Moncada, Eloy Jimenez and Luis Robert. These guys were all seen as these huge prospects. I mean, I remember hearing about Moncada almost every day, and now you never hear about him.
no,
Luis Robert, it's only for trade talks now. Garrett Crochet, I mean, he didn't even spend any time in the minors when he got called up from the draft. He, he's great, but for some reason it never fully clicked together because the leadership was never there,
never there.
and it was a situation where the warden wasn't in town, let the inmates run wild. It's one of those situations, and now they have to completely reset. And here's the sad thing: the White Sox are going to look worse when a lot of these players blossom in other places because they're in environments where they are promoting that positive energy to thrive.
Yeah,
And you'd be surprised how that affects players.
yeah. I think it's time just to sell the farm if you're the White Sox, and I don't know how great their farm system is, but I can tell you right now that it's time to get some guys up there to see what they can do because where you're at right now is not where you need to be. I'm with you. It's terrible what's going on there, and I feel bad for them. I want to see what their farm system rank is. I am very curious. Let's see. It's okay. They have the third best farm system. What's going on?
Okay.
Third best farm.
Yeah, I'm
That's
trying to
something to
think here.
work with. Why not sell what you got? Bring up this talent, and it's honestly, if you look at it, it's kind of what the Orioles did. Like you said, it's what they did, but the Orioles worked and the White Sox haven't, and that's going to happen sometimes. But start calling up these guys who are some of your top ranked guys and see what they can do. It's time to get them that
Yes.
experience. This season's a loss. You're not going to do anything with this season. You're not going anywhere. Just see what you can do. See what they can do. Just get them some experience for next year, and then you see, okay, this guy doesn't need to be here. Well, this guy needs to start next season. That gives you a good basis. So
Mhm.
sell the farm and bring up the other farm. You'll see where you're at because
Yeah.
Yeah, it is so bad in Chicago right now.
It's a nightmare, and I've been there. Uh, the Tigers
Me too.
have,
Me
of
too.
course, yeah, we've both been there recently. I've been through it. Well, I can't say twice. That was three the first time it happened, but it, when you lose 110 plus
Yeah,
twice in the same century, it's a problem.
it's awful. It's awful. So
It's horrible.
I'm glad I'm not a White Sox fan because I've been there as an Orioles fan. We've been one of the worst teams in the league. We signed a guy to an absolute massive contract that we're still paying for years to come. That I think he went 0 for 53 in Chris Davis. So that's where I was at one point. It was a very low point in my life, but here we are now. We're in a much better spot. I'm very, very excited. And I'm pumped. Here we are. We're 6.5 hours away. The fireworks are going to start soon. I cannot wait. And Eli, thank you for coming on and talking some baseball with me, man. I can't wait for what's to come. I hope your team makes good choices. Same as mine.
I hope our teams are having a lot of conversations today. I am one who is on the trade Scooble boat. Uh, I also saw. I do want to add this one just to mess with you a little bit. I don't think this will happen, but I did see it was the Orioles' pathway to cheapening the Scooble deal,
Don't
and
I don't want to hear it. I don't
it
want to hear it.
was
I know exactly
Derek
what you're
Scooble
gonna say. I don't
and
want
add
Javi Baez.
Javier Baez's
I don't want
contract
Javi
to it.
Baez. I've seen that too. I'm like, that would be such an Orioles move. You get this new owner, he's like, yeah, I got money. Here you go. Bring on Javi Baez because I want this guy. Yo, I've seen that too. Do not do that. It'd be
He had
so bad.
he had three
So
straight days with
bad.
a home run, man.
I'm good. I'm good. Our defense is already suspect at the moment. We don't need to add someone else to it. We're good, and that bad. No,
I tried.
you guys can have
I
it.
tried.
But Eli, again, man, thank you so much for coming on. It was good talking with you, and I'll hopefully we can do this again after and see if
Oh,
any of the
absolutely.
things we just said worked out.
Absolutely. I love it. Love it.
All right, man. Take care.
You as well.
I am so excited to see what the next 7 hours have in store. The 2024 MLB trade deadline. It is here, and it is an exciting time, especially like I said, for a fan of a team that will be buyers and not sellers. So much has happened so far, but so much more is still to come, and I'm ready for it. Thank you again for Eli Shelton for coming on and nerding out with me a little bit about all the moves that happened, the moves that could still happen here in the next couple of hours. Thank you all so much for watching this video. If you did enjoy watching this video, please like and subscribe. I'll be trying to get out at least 2 videos a week and be on the lookout for the reaction video of what did happen in those last couple of hours of the trade deadline day. Again, I am Sean Ferguson. This is Clubhouse Talk. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.